So today we are gonna start with the landing gear. We're gonna get it painted. So we're gonna get the silver gone, and instead we're gonna have a sort of dull white, gray, off-white paint just to match sort of this area of the jet. And then we're gonna add the green onto all of the rims and go from there. So the green that's for the hubcaps is this Rust-Oleum Hunter Green spray paint, and then we have sort of the strut here that's painted in a gray, stone gray, to match sort of the fuselage, specifically this color or the underside. And that color is stone gray. So we started with the self-etching primer for all the metal parts. And then after that we applied the Hunter Green, and then after that we applied the matte clear, and that's for the hubcaps. And for the struts we start with the self-etching primer, and then we apply the stone gray, and then we finally apply the clear. So the nose gear is in, pretty straightforward. There were 6 mounting holes already pre-drilled for you. You can see where those Allen bolts went in. And basically what I did was, on the back side I used nuts, the T-nuts that go into the wood. So I'll show you what that looks like. So right there you can see what the back side looks like in the mirror. There are the nuts that I used, and those just grab onto the wood, and the M4 screws from the gear just mount right to that. Quick note here, so we modded our nose wheel. Basically pretty easy mods. First thing that I did was cut off this piece that used to be attached right there. You can see where that came off of. And then we used a drill and a bevel to drill a bevel in there, and then just glued this using CA to the back side of that. And then for the upper lights we just glued them using CA to the center, and I just added some balsa pieces in the back there to act as supports, and those are also glued to this plastic piece and the strut. I did this because I just wanted a simple thing. I didn't want to overthink it. Obviously it could be done much more cleaner, but this is what we have for now. I'll paint over those so that they kind of disappear, and then we'll move on. I like how that looks. Looks pretty good, pretty scale, fits in there just right. So now all we got to do is wiring those lights up. Thing I need to do here on the gear, which is put flat spots, so you can see that this is just a round rod, and basically you need flat spots both on this side and on here, and that part is what's gonna get clamped on by these 4 bolts here. So I'm just gonna put flat spots on the outer part, which is these guys, and that will correspond to to these screws, because these I can tighten just basically coming in at an angle from that end. Flat spots have been added, so we're gonna put this back in the jet and double check and make sure that I get the angle of the flat spot just perfect. You can see I have markings here where the gear needs to sit, as well as on the gear right there. So we're just gonna line up those marks and make sure everything works out. Before I get these set screws in there, we're gonna put some blue Loctite on them to make sure that they don't really move when we don't want them to. So I am working on the gear doors for the CARF, and here's why it's really important to get that gear door geometry right. So I'm pointing it with my finger there. You see that when the gear door is fully closed, and this is pretty stiff, that servo and the arm are pretty much parallel. And the reason you want that is because of this. This is how many amps I'm pulling at 7.5 volts. Barely 100 milliamps, and so when these doors are closed, then the servo is barely pulling any current, and the reason for that is because of that geometry here, whereby the servo linkage is pretty much parallel to the servo arm, so therefore the servo arm is actually what's taking most of the load. So just something I thought I should point out. It was very much a pain in the butt to get this right, but you get that right, then your servos are not actually working in flight. So there you have it. Full operation. Yeah, see I have plenty. So pretty much at about 1900 ppm, PWM, the door is pretty much open, and I still have room, so I could go up to 2000. There's no way that's going to interfere, so that's great. And again, here is the geometry that I came up with. You can see there's a significant bend here to accommodate the offset from this horn here to the servo, and to make sure that when the servo is actually closed, when the door is closed, that everything lines up just perfectly. So doors closed, it's pretty tight. I'm happy with that. So what I'm gonna go over right now is how I make up my mounting and follow me for the gear doors on the SU30. So these are the ones that are in the rear. Basically, I'm going to use this spring here. So the springs that I'm using, I tried a whole bunch of springs. These I got from Amazon. You can see they're about 6mm diameter external, and you can see the thickness of the wire is about 0.5 millimeters. So, and the CARF kit comes with a gear pack which has a bunch of other stuff. This, which also comes with this fuel tubing that you see right here, and some hardware. So what I do is I need to attach the spring to the gear door, and essentially the gear door hinge is right here. So what I'm gonna do is attach the spring to to this ball link. The ball link will then go onto the gear door like that, and then this will then sit where the gear is and get interfered with the gear and released as necessary. So to mount this, basically I had to buy these guys here. These did not come in the CARF kit. I don't know what they are, but I think they're sort of the pull steering mechanisms, and these are M2s. They fit perfectly into here, so we're gonna screw that into there and then attach the wire through the hole. Just let's see if I can just sort of like that, and once we have that in, we can tie this spring to that ball link, and that's going to be the end that attaches to this. Alright, so here's what that looks like once it has been attached once the spring's been attached, you can see right there what that looks like. And then to just secure this, I'm going to put heat shrink to keep that together, and that's done. And voila. So that is the heat shrink just to keep things in place, but the wire having gone through the eye of this guy and being rounded is gonna not come out. This is just to keep things clean and avoid me being poked by the end of that wire. So that's that. Next step is gonna be to basically thread this guy through all the way, and now we have a way to attach the spring to the gear door. Here's the final result. That is firmly attached to the spring, not going anywhere. That's what it looks like attached. So now what we got to figure out is the length of the spring. I already did one gear door, so I know what the length of my fuel tubing is gonna be. It's this guy right here. And so basically what I want is when I install this, and this has to go all the way to the end, so it's gonna go from this end, and this other end is gonna be literally where the former that is holding the gear door, the gear is gonna be at. And so what I want to do is this spring, I need it to just be not exactly the length of this, but just a little bit shorter. So maybe 5 millimeters shorter. And the reason for that is when you mount this, because you want the door to be open and stiff, but you also want, when this is pulled down, you want it to also close the door. This is going to hold a gear door, but when the gear is going up, it's going to pull this, and because this is already under tension, this is going to make sure the gear door is open enough. But once this can deform, the spring is now going to pull that gear door in and hold it firmly in place. And I'll show you what that looks like once it's done. Here's what I mean when I say that the spring should be sort of shorter than the plastic tubing or the fuel tubing. So you can see right here the setup that I have, which is that the spring is kind of sitting just shy. Forget the mounting part, which is the circle up top, but the end of the spring is maybe 5 millimeters shy of the end of this. And the reason for that is when I go to mount this, then what's going to happen is that I'm going to have to pull this out a little bit like that, and you can see the spring is already under tension now. And when I secure this, the spring is going to be under tension. But this plastic or this fuel tubing is going to prevent the gear door from getting pulled in. So it's going to have tension, it's going to load the spring, but still have the gear door open for the gear to go in. And the moment that the plastic deforms as the gear comes on top of it, then the gear door is going to get pulled shut and be really tight in there. Let's give that gear a whirl and see how the system works. So you can see the gears going down. I'm using pretty low voltage, 7 volts. It's going to be 12 volt driven. So there we go. We're pulling the gear door in. And once the gear is fully seated, look at that. That is very difficult to come open. And obviously we can adjust that depending on what we want to do. Let's zoom in so you can see what I was talking about with the deforming. There you can see that plastic or fuel tubing where the tension spring is actually deformed by the gear just perfectly, and that's what's holding the gear door in place. This is the opening side. You can see just works really well. I mean, this is not new stuff. Free-wing jets have used this for years and it seems to work well. So this is a good system, I think, for keeping the jet light and avoiding having to sequence a second servo in this area. Obviously, some of the concerns that I have is that I think eventually that spring is going to wear out and it's going to need to be replaced, but that's probably many flights in. And with that, pretty much the gear, the main gear on this SU30, pretty much done.